There you go. That's right. Yeah. All right. So the biggest, I guess, there's other points of view, but the biggest point of view that kind of falls out from hedonism is utilitarianism. One of the more, I guess, famous examples of that is Adolf Hitler. You'll probably, hope you're a little familiar with that one. Yeah. So the idea behind utilitarianism is built on the foundation of hedonism and argues that good is that which gives pleasure to the greatest number of people. It's a little bit slight change. So now we're focusing on what benefits the most people. So we're saying if a minority has to suffer, but the majority of people are doing better, then that's a good thing. So I don't know if you're kind of seeing there's a little bit of tension there. Again, we come to the problem of if you find something that benefits you, but it hurts somebody else, what is your motivating factor to actually sacrifice so that someone else can benefit? Really, you could argue for the good of the people, but if you're looking out just for you and you're being purely naturalistic in philosophy, you should always try and do what's best for you and not necessarily care about what other people are thinking. To take this one step further, Hitler believed that eliminating the Jews was doing mankind a favor. Logically, Hitler acted consistently with hedonism and utilitarianism, yet no one believes the Holocaust was justified morally. So think about it this way. Hitler wanted to eliminate the Jews along with a few other minorities, and he was acting out along with utilitarianism at that point, because he believed that they were a detriment to society, and if they were eliminated, everyone else would be better off. So he's sacrificing the minority for the majority, and so that's how he falls under utilitarianism. I'll admit it's an extreme version of the theology there, but really it's a logical outcome. He used actually a lot of Nietzsche's work in support of his beliefs, but it can be very depressing if you keep going down that road. I'll give another story that's kind of related to utilitarianism. So I had another coworker that I was friends with, and he had actually had a girlfriend, and he had found out that she'd become pregnant, and so he was working through that at the time. We were having discussions about it and stuff, and I ended up asking him, so can anyone love a baby before it's born? Or can someone love a baby before it's born? And his answer was, no, because that baby can't do anything for me. And that was his answer on whether you can love someone like that, which I found very extreme. And good news is his child's alive. They ended up having it, and he actually loves his kid. I think if you asked him now, his viewpoint would change dramatically from what he said then. But really, that was a utilitarian viewpoint on the child. Like he's saying, because the child was in the womb, couldn't do anything for him, he couldn't even see him for all intents and purposes. So there could be no love relationship there, which again is an extreme example, but logically it follows on that one. So it was very jarring to hear that, but again, having an actual child changes your viewpoint on that one. Any questions on this before we move on?
How does the child relate to utilitarianism? Because if we're going off the definition that gives pleasure to the greatest number of people, and we're arguing that he can't love his child if he can't see it, for example, how does that fall under utilitarianism? Because the essence of his argument, from my interpretation, would have been that because the child has nothing to offer him in terms of pleasure, he can't love him. Is that the argument that you're constructing?
That was the idea I could get, because there was nothing the child could do for him, or he couldn't even have a relationship at all with him, he would argue, and that was why it served no purpose to him, so he had no interest in doing anything with it.
So love is based on the reciprocity of what someone else can provide you. That's the essence of utilitarianism, right?
That is one strand of thought, yes.
Okay.
Did I answer your question there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so I would say the most famous atheist now that has made an argument for objective morality is Sam Harris. So I decided to include in here just some of his talking points and kind of introduce you to that. Again, I don't think they're very solid, but we'll go ahead and talk through them. I will say as of past several years, he's kind of, I don't say fallen off the face of the earth, but he hasn't been as vocal as in the past. I don't know if he still stands with these ideas that he wrote in his book several years ago, but this is what I would say a lot of atheists refer to for objective morality. In his book, The Moral Landscape, Harris takes the position that objective moral values really do exist. And his argument is that human flourishing should be what defines objective morality. But that begs the question, what is human flourishing and who defines what human flourishing is? Yeah. Who gets to decide that? Again, if we went back to Hitler and Hitler decided what's human flourishing, it would look a little rough for a lot of people. But his argument is you don't need God to ground objective morality because of human flourishing. So let's figure out what's the goal of human flourishing and how do we define that. And then one other thought that kind of runs through this is, why should humans be valued more than other species? What gives humans inherent value more over other animals? You think about it, why are we, if there is no creator and we have no intrinsic value per se, we're just another animal, why are we more special than any other animal out there? Why shouldn't humpback whales or cockroaches thrive just as much as we do?
Yeah.
You know?
I think you can say that, like, then you can inflict animal cruelty because it doesn't affect humans. It's outside the confines of morals.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's problematic.
At that point, you can say, like, why is it wrong to
who cares if you're
animals?
dogfighting?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point, because one might argue, well, each species has their own definition of objective morality for them, like for that species,
Yeah.
like the advancement, the flourishing of that species. But then the animal cruelty, I mean, most people would agree animal cruelty is bad.
Don't kick puppies. Yeah.
That kind of does poke a hole in that, cross species, like, oh, we're all out against each other for a limited number of resources. It does kind of, why do we care about man's best friend or whatnot? Like,
Right.
I mean,
So-
also, like, humans cause, like, the extinction of several different species, so if anything, we should go, because we're not good for the
Right.
flourishing of the majority of the species.
There's a few movies about that.
Yeah. You could make an argument that if animal flourishing, or like just all mammals, all insects, whatever you want to call it, all of living beings, there's surviving was the biggest thing. You could make an argument that humans should be eliminated because they take up a lot of animals where animals would live normally. And so they're actually crowding out animals. You can make that argument. And so it would almost make more sense to eliminate humans than to say that human flourishing was a good thing.